Mr. Jimmy Adebakin. He's right here with us in the studio. Good morning, Mr. Adebakin, and thanks for coming on the program.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Now, let's begin this conversation with you giving us a general assessment of the Nigerian non-oil export sector, of course, against the background of the imperative of economic diversification.
Thank you very much one more time. Good morning, Nigeria. To be quite honest with you, a lot of people think it's a crisis, but we believe this is a fantastic opportunity for us as a nation to finally change the narratives of non-oil export in Nigeria from the economy of tomorrow to the economy of today. So I want to, first of all, say thank you very much to Nigerian Export Promotion Council, the ED, Mr. Segun Awolowo. It's fantastic leadership on his part, and from his desk, we all have to come back together, all hands on deck, and ensure that non-oil export is no longer the thing for the passive as the reserve of the rich. Nigeria is a nation of 250 million. If you go to Alaba market today and you ask an average person in Alaba market, how do I import from China? Eyes closed. They can tell you how to import from China. But the same person, if you ask him, how do I export from Nigeria? It would be as if you're speaking Chinese. So the first and foremost thing we have to do, see this as an opportunity, which is what we are trying to do with the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, and change the narratives, send the right message to the generals of Nigerian public. And I believe if all hands are on deck, within the next 24 months, we can start focusing on the low-hanging fruits that are possible. We have over 26 million Nigerians in the diaspora. Currently, when they want to eat, they buy from Indian shop, they buy from Pakistani shop. These same Nigerians, with the cooperation of the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, let's just focus on the low-hanging fruits, okay? The same people that are importing, everywhere you go globally, Nigerians have a footprint globally. Let's use the same energy that we've used on importing and use it for exporting with that in mind, and making sure we have a very enabling environment at the seaport and at the airport. I totally believe this is the season, finally, that it has become apparent to everybody, from the presidency to everybody on the street. We can no longer rely on crude oil. So let's take this opportunity of COVID-19 and finally let the private sector drive the importance of Nigerian non-oil export activities.
Now, Nigeria recently signed the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Of course, what do we really have to export, given the fact that over 90% of our export is crude oil and gas? Of course, latest data from the National Bureau of Statistics, which came in yesterday, showed that petroleum products stood out as the most exported commodities for the first quarter of 2020, and that's even with the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you very much for that question. Our comparative advantage lies in agriculture. Globally, that's where our comparative advantage lies. I work in logistics, and even from 28th of March, when the lockdown started officially, we're still moving tons of Nigerian food produce from the airport to worldwide destination. We did a lot of chartered flights to ensure that Nigerians in diaspora will not be lacking in anything as far as Nigerian food produce are concerned. Okay, so the agreement for us to have an open skies in Africa, to have open trade in Africa, we are not going to focus on the manufacturing sector. We are going to focus on the produce that is made in Nigeria, our agricultural produce. If you go to North Africa, they need our agricultural produce in North Africa. You go to West Africa, they need our textiles, they need our rubber products in West Africa. So what we need to do are three things. First of all, we have to improve access to the market. The second thing we need to do, we have to improve quality of product, properly labeled, made in Nigerian product. We have to be proud of that brand, made in Nigeria. Then the last thing that we have to do, we have to ensure we have consistency in quality of product that is going out, access, affordability, and quality. Once we can get this done, you go to the airport, you go to the seaport, and you look at the packaging of what we are exporting out of Nigeria. It's a global market. We are competing. So the first thing we need to do is these three things. When we make sure that we have access, every Nigerian has access via the support of Nigerian Export Promotion Council. We as a private sector, we have to ensure that freight becomes cheaper for them to export out. Then the Nigerian Export Promotion Council and the private sector should ensure that branding the word. Let's be proud about being Nigerian. There's nothing to be ashamed about being Nigerian. I am a very proud Nigerian. So everything that is living in Nigeria, let's label it proudly, made in Nigeria. China, I remember when we were younger, China, the Chinese would go around with cameras. I used to wonder what had the photographs I've taken. But today, China has become the manufacturing plant for the rest of the world. We can focus on non-oil export, the agricultural produce of Nigeria, and within 24 months, I keep saying 24 months, we can change the narratives, and we can be exporting up to 100 tons of cargo from the airports, over 50 containers on a daily basis out of Nigeria with the right policy framework. The time has come for the government to start paying lip service to non-oil export. Let's give Nigerian Export Promotion Council the capacity to be able to give palliative support to every single Nigerian that wants to export. And we are going to be announcing later on next month FOB, which is you'll be able to export from Nigeria to worldwide destination without having to pay for the freight in advance. When we take that one out of the equation, we totally believe that Nigerians will see export as the next opportunity that every one of us should gravitate towards.
What about the issue of the border closure now? Has it in any way affected the export sector?
It has increased the cost of production. It has increased the cost of distribution. And it has reduced access by the other West African neighbors. However, we are still moving cargo by air. We're still moving cargo by sea. It's only by road that the borders have closed. So it's just a redistribution of revenue, redistribution of income. The volumes are still the same. The only challenge is that to export now to West African country has become more expensive because they can no longer move their goods and by the road. You know, yeah.
Now, how well is the CBN online export portal performing? Of course, would like to know how much value this portal is adding to the export sector.
I hate to say this, but every time you say to an average Nigerian CBN, you eliminate about 90% of Nigerians because they think CBN prints money. Our issue is already how do we make money, okay? If CBN is going to be a proactive supporter of Nigerian export, even during the pandemic, with all the efforts of the federal government to ensure the palliative gets to the masses of Nigerians, a lot of people did not get it. So we have to remove CBN from the equation totally. Let's remove the government totally from this equation. What we want the government and CBN to do, just give us a neighboring environment. The government have tried. They've tried their best. The time has come for the government to just create a neighboring environment for the private sector. It's the private sector that can drive this phenomenon called non-oil export. And as I said to you before, we have to focus on three things. If CBN is going to help, they have to ensure there's access for all Nigerians to be able to export. They have to ensure that every Nigerian, the cost of freight does not become an issue. And secondly, quality. How do we maintain quality? The portal is a register. After registration, what else? The portal does not tell you if you want to export to Germany, these are the things you can export from Nigeria to Germany. These are the ways that you can make contact with Germans that can import from Nigeria. So let's take the narrative, let's change the narrative, let's make it a public sector-driven platform with the support. I keep saying it. The portfolio has been created already. Nigerian Export Promotion Council is in existence. Let's give the power to Nigerian Export Promotion Council so that they can do what the mandate has been given to them by the federal government of Nigeria to do. And we have a very strong, serious-minded executive director there now that is trying his best to move this corporation to the heights that all of us want to see. CBN, please give us three things: improve access, affordability, and give the Nigerian exporters the platform so that we can have standardization. That's what we need.
Now, how do we encourage even the citizens to be more participatory in the export sector? Of course, many would also ask, what is there to export anyway?
Thank you very much. We have spent the last, all our interaction with the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, we are building a bridge. We are building a portfolio. The first portfolio we have done is that currently we've now created from 170 countries globally. We now have international partners, 3,760 international partners that have expressed interest to be buying from Nigeria. So we've achieved the problem of access. The second problem we have within this sector is affordability. We are now negotiating with the vessel liners, we are negotiating with the airlines, bringing down the cost of freighting from and out of Nigeria, so that an average Nigerian, they don't have to worry about the cost of freight. And the last thing that we are trying to do, in conjunction with another private sector, is to build a processing and export processing and labeling plant at the airport. We believe by September this year, that plant will be ready. And once that plant is ready, that means every produce that is leaving Nigeria, whether it's pineapple, well, whether it's, I don't want to mention other companies' brand, but as long as they're made in Nigerian product, by the time it gets to the airport, it gets to the seaport, we have to make sure we do the labeling properly, okay? And then push that brand, Nigeria. That's the brand. It's the brand that we need to start pushing now, okay? And I went through Frankfurt just before the COVID-19, and I was at the lounge. And one of the Nigerian musicians' music was being played at the lounge in Frankfurt. And I was saying to the person next to me, I said, is that a Nigerian sound? Yeah, a Nigerian sound. So there's already acceptability for the Nigerian music, Nigerian video scene, movie scene. We have the Nigerians are the Jews of the, I'm sorry to say this, but anywhere you go to in the world, a nation that any city you go to, you don't see a Nigerian in that city, please step back. I went to a place, Latvia, in winter. It was like minus 20 Celsius when I got into Latvia. The first person I saw when I got into the hotel was a guy from the East. I said, what are you doing here? He said, I live in Latvia. I said, you live in Latvia? So what I'm trying to say here is that the brand has been established. We have the energy. We have the vision. All we are asking the government to do now, whether it's from the platform of the CBN, whether it's from the platform of the Ministry of Commerce, enable Nigerian Export Promotion Council so that they can, now all these things that we have worked on, creating the access, making affordability not an issue anymore, and quality, standardization of quality of produce that will be leaving Nigeria, we are working on it. By September, we will have every produce that will be leaving Nigeria will be properly labeled. All the boxes, all the contents will be written on the boxes, and this is what we need. And let us ensure that every man, every woman on the streets of Lagos, in Abuja, in Kano, anywhere you are in Nigeria, let's go back to any of our 774 local government and say, what do we have in this local government? Somebody came to the office yesterday and he wants to export granite to London. I said, sir, have you done your market research? He said, well, I've sent out some sample products already, and a pub, a restaurant in England has requested for him to supply this granite. What has he done? He has made honey granite. Ordinary granite with honey. That's what this guy has done, okay? We have this already. Please, I want to appeal to everybody watching this program. It's about time. Don't let us ask Nigeria anymore what Nigeria can do for us. Let us begin to say, what can I do for Nigeria? And I believe with the right support that is given to the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, the narratives have changed. We are now pushing the new possibilities that is available with Nigerian oil exports.
Quite interesting there. Now, let's talk about the free trade zones. Of course, they've been used in many countries to drive the growth of exports. Could you assess the performance of the Nigerian free trade zones? So what are some of the challenges that they are facing?
Okay, if you look at, for instance, the Lekki Free Trade Zone, and you look at the road from Ajah that will take you into Lekki, okay, the first thing we need to do is let's widen the road. If you get to the Lekki Free Trade Zone, what is happening is that imports are coming in, and they're converting the imports to finished produce. We are not, at the present time, creating the free zone for export. The free zone currently is primarily geared up to ensure that people can bring imports into Nigeria, then use the free zone to distribute to the West African nations. Okay? How does that improve or support our currency. It doesn't. It doesn't. The only thing is that they're not paying taxes. Okay? They're using the free zone to convert their partially finished produce coming into Nigeria. Yes, they're creating employment. Okay? But let's use that same platform to say we have a export processing zone. We want to build the first export processing zone at the airport, but with the right support. The investors are already showing interest. We want to ensure that the Lagos Airport, Abuja Airport, Port Harcourt, Kano, we have all these things in place.
All right. We'll have to wrap up this conversation
Thank you very much.
this point. Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Free on Board Global Logistics, Mr. Jimmy Adebaki. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me on your program. Thank you very much.